We are.
Okay, just before the meeting concluded, we were reminded that before we go to consent agenda, we have one more regular business item to come up before we go to consent. So,
We need to suspend our rules of order.
To add a business item?
Mrs. Plata, if we want to add a business item, we have to suspend our rules to add an item at this time. So, I move to suspend the rules at this time.
Support.
Moved by the chair, seconded by Councilman Eisenbacher, that we suspend the rules at this time. Discussion? The vote, Mrs. Plata?
Councilmember Beltramini?
To
Question.
suspend the rules?
Yeah, all right, fine.
Brumfield?
Yes.
Eisenbacher?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Arlett?
Yes.
Kerwin?
Yes.
And Mayor Schmidt?
Yes, motion passes. Councilman Beltramini?
Well, the way you worded that, to add an item, and
No,
my
I-
thought is that we'll be adding more than one.
No, well then, when I read the resolution, I just said to suspend the rules. I didn't say
Okay.
why.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
because I caught myself.
You're good.
What's the next item? I know we have 1 to 10 to first. It's delineated on the memo that is in front of us.
Mayor,
Councilman Eisenbacher.
I was thinking along the lines of following our next meeting, March 2nd, in terms of time frame.
Yeah, but the first thing we have to do is accept the,
Right,
But you're talking about
Effective.
the effective.
and then,
because we have two options.
oh, the effective? Oh, okay. And why did you want to do it to the second?
Just so that our next meeting is covered.
No, I don't. Mrs. Bloom, can we do that?
Mayor, yes,
Yes.
you can, the contract does require the 30 days written notice. You certainly can waive that.
Mhm.
I believe that Mr. Nelson would be amenable to staying over as well. So if you were to do that, you might say something about March 2nd at 11:59 p.m.
That's along the lines of what I was thinking.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may.
All right, go ahead. Councilman Eisenbacher?
Resolved that Troy City Council hereby accepts the resignation of City Manager Philip L. Nelson, effective Monday, March 2nd, 2009, at 11:59 p.m. Support.
Moved by Councilman Eisenbacher, seconded by Councilman Fleming, that the Troy City Council hereby accepts the resignation of City Manager Philip L. Nelson, effective Monday, March 2nd, 11:59 p.m.
Mayor.
Yes.
Just
Mrs. Bloom?
one thought that I had after saying that we should make it 11:59. It is possible with the number of items that the meeting will not be concluded by 11:59. I don't know, but that is a possibility, so council should be mindful of that as well.
Okay. Could we say conclusion of the meeting?
That you could amend it to have.
Do we have to have a
that.
date certain? Or just say the end of the meeting, the March 2nd?
That would probably,
March 8th.
that should be sufficient at the conclusion of the meeting starting on March 2nd at 7:30 p.m.
Okay. Want to do the amendment?
Yes. move to amend the time to say following the 7:30 p.m.
No, conclusion of
at the conclusion of the 7:30 p.m. city council meeting
of March 2nd.
of March 2nd, yes.
Do we have a second?
Support. Second.
Moved by Councilman Eisenbacher, seconded by Councilman Fleming, that we amend the motion by adding that to the conclusion of the March 2nd council meeting,
Mayor?
in the wording, instead of March 2nd, 11:59 p.m. Discussion and motion, Mayor Pro Tem Harlech?
Yes. After discussions with the city manager, I've decided that I will not be voting in favor of accepting his resolution and his resignation. And if council is so inclined to move in that direction, I would strongly encourage council to wait until after the budgetary process has been completed.
So what you're saying tonight is that the resignation would not be necessary at this point?
Not for me, it isn't, so I think this is premature.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Councilwoman Broomfield, Councilwoman Beltramini, and then I was expecting you to jump in, Councilman Broomfield. Councilman Beltramini?
I lean more with the Mayor Pro Tem on this issue. I believe that if we took this to be a full 30-day notice, then we would have 30 days to do the prep work that we need to do to replace him, and the budget process would be much further along. We get our budgets in April, so it would be down to the cutting and pasting stage that staff could do, I think, better. So I would favor a March 15th date, but that's my own preference.
Well, I believe that, I'll let Mayor Pro Tem Howard speak for himself. You were saying at the
Oh, he wants much
conclusion-
longer.
What date were you thinking of, Mayor Pro Tem Howard?
Well, to be honest with you, after discussing with the city manager, I'm not even prepared to take action on this tonight.
We could ask him to withdraw his resignation letter.
We have a lot of options, Mayor.
Yes, I know. I'm just mentioning the options that are available to us here. I know that he is present in the building, didn't want to be here for the discussion, but he's in the other room, so we'd be happy to retrieve him from that and ask him to withdraw his letter, and then he can go through the budgetary process and then go from there, see what his desires are at that point.
Mayor?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Howard?
One of the things we can do is we can stick a date in there that's sufficiently far enough in the future so that the rest of these items don't have to be addressed. And if it is council's desire to meet with the city manager in some sort of a evaluation process, if you will, it may be such that after that time we decide to rescind this resolution. But what I would do is at least move it to the end of March. It gives you that flexibility, or even end of April, if you will. But I think that I have a lot of concerns that are not addressed yet, and I met with the city manager today. I think that I'd like to meet with him again. But what is council's desire? I'm not sure.
Well, my preference would be to ask him to withdraw his letter of resignation, and that we go through the budget process, and we also ask him to request a session. He can request an executive closed session to discuss his contract. Am I correct, Mrs. Bloom?
He can have a performance evaluation
right.
in a closed session if he requests it.
Right. Okay. And then we talked to him about doing that, and then we can have some opportunities. Then we can come forward with a resolution at some point if we need to do one. Is that council's desire? Do you want, anybody else want to speak on this? Councilman McClellan?
Well, I'm just puzzled, really, because I don't have the benefit of this private conversation. It's been so transformative. In light of that, however, I would suggest we take no action on this item at all. And that way we don't have to follow through with the A's and the B's and the C's and everything else, if that's the inclination. I wish, however, that I would have been the beneficiary of whatever conversations Mayor Pro Tem has had. Perhaps some of that might be shared.
Well, I think there might be an appropriate venue for that. I appreciate everyone being candid about this. I didn't mean that we had to take a formal action to ask him to rescind his letter. I think if you just ask me to do that, I can do that on behalf of council. Or if we just take no action at this time and then I just have a conversation with them, or we all have a conversation with them. We can do that at that time. Does that meet the standard of the law on this, Mrs. Bloom? That we take no action at this time?
Yeah, there's no requirement to take any action. If that's the direction of the majority of council, then certainly it would be appropriate, Mayor, for you to talk to him and see if he is willing to rescind his letter.
Okay. Are you folks desirous of having a closed session tonight at Mr. Nelson's request or not? Mrs. Bloom?
Mayor, it could
Yeah.
not happen tonight.
Okay.
Mayor?
Thank you. Well, I think it was Councilman Eisbacher first, and then I'll come to you. Councilman Eisbacher?
I would also like to get more knowledge, like Councilwoman Cohen said. I'd like to get a better understanding of the knowledge that Mayor Pro Tem Howrylak has gained. I don't want to take any action either for or against this evening. I don't want to say that we are rescinding the letter of resignation, or if there's not the intent of this council to accept it. I think we need to get the knowledge, all of us, not just not necessarily take an action either way. That doesn't mean rescind the letter or accept it. Our next meeting is before, the question would be is when is the expiration of the letter legally?
Mrs. Bloom?
Right now, the city manager has turned in a letter of resignation that is effective as of February 27th. Unless some action is taken by the city manager to rescind that, or by city council to enforce that full 30 days, then that will become what happens. I mean, there does need to be some affirmative action taken by either the city manager or city council to require the performance of that 30-day notification.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Howrylak? I believe you asked for a floor next, and then I see other people. So go ahead.
I just wanted to ask the city attorney, what would happen if there was a date set, let's say, for example, March 30th, for the, this resolution says Monday, March 2nd right now. What if it said Monday, March 30th? And it became apparent that the city council and the city manager wanted to continue with him as a city manager. Could that resolution just be basically you would have a vote and you would rescind that motion? Is that a possibility as well? Because until that date comes...
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes, there could be a reconsideration of your motion, which would be in accordance with your rules, but again, the time limits would be it had to be done before the date of the resignation or the date, that would be in your new resolution. So yes, you could do it that way. You could also, someone could meet with the manager and see if he's willing to extend it or to modify his submittal.
I think the next person asked for the floor was Councilwoman Beltramini, Councilwoman Broomfield. Which one? I don't know.
I
was
think
looking both
Christine.
ways.
I think
Pardon?
I think Christine.
Pardon? Councilwoman Broomfield?
Well, I think, number one, if we're going to not accept our city manager's resignation, we need to be some sort of a date certain where we will review it, and that review would need to be within a very short amount of time, because frankly, I think we're coasting. I think that it is not a good thing to have a resignation hanging out there, or even a potential thought of a resignation, because it sends messages to our staff, our management, our staff, what's going on. And it's a very uncertain time. So, here we have the manager has submitted a letter of resignation. I'm hearing from council members that, you know what, maybe before we accept it, I think we'd like to sit down in closed session, do another evaluation and talk, and see if we can resolve whatever reason why you're leaving, or you feel like you need to leave. But that has to be real soon.
Well,
Let me finish.
okay, yes, I'm sorry.
Because the point here is this, that to have a leader in management of a city, and it's iffy, and we don't know what's happening, we're already having a lot of uncertainty. And this council needs to grab the bull by the horn and make some choices here. And if we're having some problems in our communication with the city manager, needs to take place in the next couple of weeks, we need to do an evaluation, and then we need to either accept it or reject it. But I'm not in favor of just having it out there for a couple months to see how things might go, because that's going to be detrimental to our city management.
One of the reasons why I didn't want to have the liquor hearing meetings on a council meeting is that I anticipated we would have something that we needed to deal with, not knowing what something we'd have to deal with, at one of our next meetings. And so, but I do appreciate the fact that if council members can't be there on the 9th, that we went with the dates, and so I'm willing to do that. However, I do think that this matter takes precedence even over liquor hearings. It's our major job. And the budget, yes. Councilman Beltramini, were you next, or was it Councilman
I
McCurry?
believe that I was.
Okay.
It appears to me that the majority of council is unprepared to accept this resignation as written. And therefore, I agree with the city attorney that take no action tonight. However, it's non-compliant with the contract as written. So I don't want to get into that battle. I agree with Christina that this can't just be sitting out there in the wind forever. We have a meeting Wednesday night. Is there some way that this item could be added on to the end of the agenda Wednesday night to either accept, put a date certain, have Phil ask for a review, certainly between now and Wednesday, Mayor, you and the manager can sit and have it. And then we could actually take some action at the earliest opportunity, because I do believe we need to show some decision-making power
Yes.
in this. So can we do that?
Yeah,
Do we meet the
Mr. Brown?
timeframes to have
Mayor?
it?
Yes.
Yeah, just for clarification, you want the proposed resolutions, all of them to appear, or are you looking for a personnel evaluation to occur in a closed session, provided that the city manager requests that?
My thought is we have a motion on the floor. We also would have the opportunity at that meeting to call for a closed session for an evaluation if that's what the city manager wanted. And we could tweak this motion based on whatever the conversation the mayor had, either to a different date certain, or as is, or back to the 27th, or we could use that. I just want this item in some fashion on that agenda so that we can act, either through closed session or through acceptance or rejection of the resignation letter.
Madam,
Yes, Councilman Curley, were you next?
I think so. I too would like to see this, something happen Wednesday night, but what I think is, should the manager request a review in closed session, I think that would be an opportunity to perhaps hear some of the same things that the Mayor Pro Tem has as a body, and offer some review at the same time. Then I would suggest that one of these resolutions might make their way into the the March meetings. And at this time, again, taking no action on those on the table, not seeing those on the table, but offering an item after all the liquor hearings, should the manager request a closed session to discuss a review, a performance review, then that makes sense to me.
Councilman Fleming?
Madam Mayor, I agree. We can't let this drag out. Once someone's given their resignation, I agree, it's sent a powerful message to the staff. We need to deal with this week and come to a conclusion as to what we're going to do with a date certain this week and move forward.
I have a suggestion, and that is for, before we go to the consent items on the agenda, that I be excused from the meeting to tend to the matter, and Mayor Pro Tem Howard can conduct the next part of the meeting. Then I could return with some information, and that would expedite. I think that's better. I don't want to ask a staff person to do this. I think it's our responsibility. Okay? Would that be satisfactory? Okay, so at this point, we'll continue.
Mayor?
Excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem Howard?
I just wanted to offer one other option, and that is that we could change the date here to March 30th, postpone the item to the 2nd, and have an evaluation of the city manager before the meeting on the 2nd, call a special meeting at about 6 o'clock, and figure out what we're going to do.
I think we need to have our discussion with him before we take any action. I'm not privy to the information that has occurred. No, and I'm not saying that it should be. I'm just saying that's my personal opinion on this matter at this point.
Fair.
Yes.
Just for the record, Mayor, you know, the city manager's door is open. I simply emailed him this morning and asked him if he would be in today, and then I walked into his office, and I think we certainly all have the ability to do that. I'm not necessarily so sure that I asked any questions that were more or less probing than anybody else here on council. It's just that some information had been conveyed anyway, and so forth.
All right.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Broomfield?
Before you go talk to our city manager, I just wanted to make sure the idea or the suggestion would be to tag on a closed session evaluation at the end, because I do teach Wednesday nights, but I can make it here by 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Is that fine? So, Mayor Pro Tem Howard, you want to take over for the consent item?
I can do that.
And I'll be excused. I shall return.
Well, I mean, we've got a resolution hanging on the table that we need to do something with, so we can either,
Take no action. No action.
even on the resolution,
Yes.
because the resolution, you've got a resolution, I mean, there's an actual active resolution on the table.
Yes. Take no action.
You could substitute it with.
Well, I think,
No action.
Substitute the amendment and then.
yeah, and I think there's something else that you just called to, what is it, to table it indefinitely, and then you can lay it on the table to bring it back, but anyway, if everybody's happy with this, I just thought that we had a resolution that was on the table, we discussed it, and it had to be acted on somehow.
You can take no action.
Okay, very good. So I guess we're going to move to the consent agenda.